What's up? For those of you who don't know me, my name's Elise. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. As you can tell by the title of today's video, I am choosing 23 books that I want to focus on and read in 2023 with a few caveats. All of these books are books that I owned previous to 2023, and there are 2 series on this list. However, I am counting this series as one book because if I don't like that book, then I obviously won't continue the series, but if I do, then I will continue the series. So those are my 2 caveats. Obviously, there are a ton more books on my shelves that I want to read. If you are new to my channel, this is my shelf of books that I have read, and this is my shelf of books that I have not read. So naturally, I want to try and get to as many of these books as possible this year. And these ones up here, they are for specific videos, so I already know I'm going to get to them. But these books that I'm talking about today, I'm really gonna try to get to them. Really hoping. A huge goal and focus of mine this year is to read more of the books on my own TBR. If you saw my last video, the haul that I just did for 2023, I've already gotten or bought a lot of books already, but it's slowing down. We're still gonna try and get to these. So let's just quit my rambling and get started. The first book that I want to get to in 2023 is actually a series. It is Arc of a Scythe, book number 1. I have been wanting to read this book for ages. This book is based on Citra and Rowan. A Rowan name we know is gonna be a good one. They live in this kind of utopia. There's no disease, no war, everyone's happy. So, you know, how do people pass on if everything's perfect? That's where the Scythes come in, and Citra and Rowan are apprentices of Scythes, and they have to learn when and how and the art of choosing and taking lives because the population has to move on somehow. I'm wondering if they're going to learn a little bit more about this perfect world that they live in that kind of changes how they think about the world. There are actually 3 other books now, 2 in the series and then a kind of collection of short stories and novellas that will go in that. Ooh. Number 2 is another series, and it is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This book is about a man who passes away and leaves his billions of dollars of inheritance to a random girl named Evvie. And for her to get the inheritance, she has to live with the family who thought that they were going to get the inheritance. I hear it's really interesting and kind of twisty, and there's a lot of like puzzles going on in this series. So there are 2 other books out right now and a 3rd one coming. So that is number 2. Then we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I recently read Every Summer After, and I've heard these 2 have very similar plot lines. I think I'm gonna really love this because I did love Every Summer After. I'm gonna leave a few books in between, maybe read this in a few months. Macy is settling into her life. She is planning her wedding. She's a pediatrician. She has things going for her until she runs into the first and only true love of her life, Elliot. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. This is also told in alternating timelines now and 12 years before, what led them to their love and friendship and what led them to no longer talking to each other. I've heard great things. Next, I'm so excited to read Legends and Lattes. I love how middle genre this book is. It does not really fit into any specific genre. It's fantasy, it's romance, it's queer, it's like sci-fi. I love it. Apparently, Viv is an orc who is kind of a mercenary. They just want a rest. They want to open a coffee shop and live a cozy little life, but there are a few problems. People don't know what coffee is, and they have all of these old enemies that are coming to check out what she's doing. Viv needs to learn that sometimes it's okay to get help, and sometimes those people can end up having a more significant meaning in your life. Then we have XOXO by XOXO. I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea last year and absolutely loved it. One of my top reads of the year. Jenny is Korean American and lives in Los Angeles, and one summer night she meets this guy Jae-woo and they have just a really fun, great night together before he has to leave back for South Korea. Over the summer, Jenny and her mom are moving to Seoul to help her grandmother, and Jenny also got into this really esteemed musical academy there. Who else does she meet and run into than Jae-woo? He ends up being a K-pop idol, and if you know anything about K-pop, that is a huge no-no for them to date or have any sort of interaction with the opposite sex. Or their fans will go insane. They kind of have to decide, ooh, is this worth pursuing? I think this will be really fun and really nostalgic for me because I used to live in South Korea for 3 years, and also I've been in that street, in that neighborhood. I've been there. I'll try and find a photo. So I love this. Then we have Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Delilah is a photographer and her business is starting to do pretty well, and she kind of sleeps around, stays busy, and she's fine with that. But when Delilah's estranged stepsister hands her a bit of cash and asks her to photograph her wedding, Delilah agrees and is surrounded by all of these girls that Astrid is friends with, one in particular being Claire Sutherland. Now, Claire and Delilah have known each other, right? But they don't really know each other, and Delilah kind of sinks her eyes on Claire. And apparently they all decide to try and help Astrid get away from her terrible fiance. Looks like it's gonna be a fun time. Next we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I've heard this has all of the cozy vibes and is very sweet and wholesome. This book follows Mika Moon, who is a witch, but in this world you can't use your powers. The witches can't convene together because it draws too much attention and it can put them in danger. Mika gets a message asking if she can help train 3 orphan witches, and she does. Apparently it's really cute, really funny. There is a love interest who is annoyed that he is drawn to Mika. I just hear it's a really good time. Then we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I've heard really great things about this book. Archer doesn't speak to anyone. He doesn't speak. But him and, does it say her name? He and the main character of this book somehow form a connection. And when they form that, things are revealed and we kind of learn why he doesn't speak and the drama in the town. Things just go down. I thought this was a really interesting idea for the premise too. I read the first chapter and the writing just sucks you in. Then we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This exploded over social media recently. It's a college sports romance. I hear there's quite a bit of spice. I heard it has Elle Kennedy, Briar U, and off-campus vibes, which I've really enjoyed so far. This has to do with Anastasia, who is a competitive figure skater and she's trying to get to the Olympics one day. Her ice rink has a mix-up with Nathan Hawkins, who is a ice hockey player. So somehow they end up sharing the same rink, and then Anastasia's partner gets hurt and somehow Nathan gets tied up in that, and I'm very excited and interested to see how this goes. Then we have Oona Out of Order. This really drew me in by its fascinating storyline. Oona is so excited about her future. She's ready to go and explore the world and see where life takes her. And then on her 19th birthday, she wakes up like 35 years later in an older woman's body, in a home she doesn't know, with a man she doesn't know, who claims to be her husband or partner. Come to find out that every year Oona turns a new age, she is transported to a different time or a different age. It does not go in consecutive order. So she could wake up and be 73 one day, and then the next time she wakes up and she's 21, and then the next year she's 32. I really love the tagline of Oona learning how to appreciate and enjoy life, how it's given to her. I'm really looking forward to reading this. Then we have Evvie Drake Starts Over. I need to do a little book surgery on it and get that sticker off. Evvie Drake is a widow. Ever since her husband passed away a little over a year ago, Evvie just doesn't leave the house. She doesn't find a reason to. Eventually she does and goes out to this estate or this house in the country. I don't know how she knows Dean Tenney. I'm not sure the connection there. Maybe they used to be friends. Somehow he moves into the little apartment or the little ensuite behind her. Dean Tenney is a baseball player and he has the yips, meaning he can't pitch correctly. So his career is kind of going down the drain. So both of them think it would be good to move out of the city, away from everything, and just kind of take some time off. They have a deal. You don't talk about yours, I don't talk about mine, and they just kind of develop a friendship, and I'm assuming they work through what's going on in their life. I have seen really good reviews and really good things said about this. Then we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This book follows two friends who kind of grew up together and then didn't see each other for a while, and they end up developed video games and have a really great exploding career. I hear it follows them for 30 years of their lifetime, and obviously it does more than just talk about the video games. It explores friendship and love and how life affects us and how success affects us in our friendships and relationships. It was on a lot of people's top lists last year, so now it's on the top of mine to read this year. Ah, Remarkably Bright Creatures. I also heard fantastic things about this book. I also thought it was really unique because this book follows Marcellus, who is the giant octopus. Who would have thought that the octopus would be the main character? Marcellus lives in an aquarium. He develops a relationship with Tova, who cleans the aquarium. Come to find out, Tova's son disappeared on a ship in the ocean years and years ago. So Marcellus and her create a bond, and Marcellus takes it upon himself to figure out what happened and solve this mystery of her missing son. Doesn't that sound fun? I'm excited to read this. Then we have Loveless by Alice Oseman. This story follows Georgia. Georgia just doesn't understand why she doesn't have crushes, why she doesn't have that flutter of butterflies in her stomach when someone looks at her a certain way, why she doesn't feel like kissing other people. This kind of follows Georgia's journey of going away to college, finding new friends, keeping old friends, and understanding why she feels that way and that it's okay. I think this is really great. Not that I read it yet, but from what I've heard, people who consider themselves asexual or aromantic are getting their representation, because a lot of people experiencing that or who identify with that, I feel like they just didn't know or understand what's going on. So I'm really glad and happy that there is more out there, so maybe they can identify and understand what's going on sooner and feel like someone understands them, because I can imagine that being really difficult. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Next we have You've Reached Sam. This cover is stunning. Julie and Sam are dating. They have great, bright plans for the future, and just before they're about to go, Sam dies in a car crash. Julie is obviously devastated, and so she shuts everyone out in his family. She throws away all of his things, doesn't want to do anything with it. She just wants to forget. One day, she crumbles and just wants to hear his voice again, and so she calls his phone to hear his voicemail, except Sam picks up I guess it's a little bit of magical realism where she can kind of talk to him on the other end of his phone, only I'm imagining it has to do with accepting her love of him, but you know, accepting his death as well. I've heard mixed reviews about the ending of this book, but I am ready to read it and figure out how I feel about the ending. Then we have The Woman in Cabin 10. I don't read a lot of mystery or thriller, so maybe this is basic for some people, but for me it's like opening a whole new door to a whole new room. Lo Blacklock is a journalist, and she is sent on the trip on the job of a lifetime on a luxury cruise. She's having a great grand time, everything is amazing, but then a storm comes in and she swears she saw a woman being thrown overboard. However, the next morning, the next day, everyone's accounted for. Lo realizes something is going on and decides to get down to the bottom of it. I'm guessing the woman thrown overboard was from Cabin 10. Also, look at, I don't know if you can see the cover, but it's like textured to look like water dripping down the window. So cool. Then we have The School for Good Mothers. I bought this last year. The School for Good Mothers follows Frida Lou, who is just kind of having a time. Her husband recently left her and has a mistress. She has a little daughter who obviously is very demanding and a job, and so she's trying to do this all by herself with very little help from her husband, and she just kind of has a breakdown one day. Forgets to pick her daughter up from daycare. The thing about this society is they have a big brother organization for parents, and because Frida messed up, she now has to go to this place and like train and prove that she can be a good mother in order to get her daughter back. I just thought the premise sounded really fascinating. I'm really intrigued to see how the author handles the delicate topic of parenting and being a single mother and the overwhelming aspects of all of that, because I know a lot of women and moms are judged on what kind of mom they are, and so I'm really interested to see how she handles that. Then we have The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle. I read her most recent book, but I'm completely blanking on the title, so I'll put it right here. And it was a really fast, easy read. I loved the ending of it. I heard the premise of this book and thought it was really fascinating. We've all played the game. Which 5 people, living or dead, would you have to dinner? But what if that dinner was to actually happen? Sabrina Nielsen is having her 30th birthday, and she walks into the restaurant and those 5 people are there, including Audrey Hepburn and her ex, Tobias. Out of all of the people in the world, through the dinner and a past timeline, it explores what happened between her and Tobias and how they got to where they are. Okay, those are all of the physical books that I have. Now let's go on to some Kindle books. First we have Write My Name Across the Sky by Barbara O'Neill. I also read her book When We Believed in Mermaids and really enjoyed it. I also won this as a giveaway on Goodreads a while ago, and I really need to get to it. It says that this is a tale of 2 generations of women reconciling family secrets and past regrets. We're following the life of Gloria Rose, who's like a 70-something influencer, but all of a sudden her old flame gets arrested. She was involved in a lot of the things that he got arrested for once upon a time. Then we have Willow, whose career is failing as a singer-songwriter. She is just, it's not doing well. So she's coming home to lick her wounds. Then there's Sam, who is on the verge of losing her video game store. Their life is in shambles, and we're gonna see how their lives interconnect and they can help one another to hopefully figure out what's going on in life and have a better time. Then we have The Fastest Way to Fall. I've heard really awesome things about this book, and it has really great reviews. Britta works for a lifestyle website, and there is this new application that is coming out where you can get personal coaching. So I believe that she signs up for that for her website to test it out. Wes Lawson he's the owner and in charge of this website, but he has kind of lost touch with things. So he decides to do the coaching, which once upon a time was something that he really loved. Britta and Wes end up matching. Wes is her coach and they end up having a really good time. They click really well. Britta's having a really great time working out and getting fit again. Then they decide to meet up in person and sparks fly. So they're trying to navigate this new relationship. Is it more? Is it not more? How do they stay professional? Should they go for it? Should they not? And it sounds like a really fun, body positive romance. Then we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I got this on sale for like $1 or something last year, and I'm so excited to read it. This woman and this man are married. They have the most incredible love life and romance that anyone could ever ask for. And then he goes missing and they claim him dead after so long. So finally this woman moves on and she finds a new love and a new life that she's enjoying. And then on the cusp of her wedding, her previous husband shows up. She's trying to figure out where was he, what happened to him, where had he been, why hadn't he come sooner, why is he there now, and reconcile her past love with her new love and which love is the love that she wants to keep. And I just heard it was so good and it sounds so intriguing and I really want to read it. Then we have The Sea of Ruin, which I hear is spicy and involves pirates. Can love prevail in the Sea of Ruin? Next we have Racing the Sun. This one sounded really fun to me because it has the nanny trope, I suppose. But I am a nanny, so I always love reading about nannies. Is that weird? Amber McLean needs to face the music. After a frivolous 6 months abroad, backpacking through New Zealand and Australia and South Asia, she's broke and literally cannot afford to buy a ticket home to California. So she winds up in Italy as an English teacher, and this teaching job somehow winds up to her being a nanny for this brooding man. Or maybe the brother of the dad is the broody one. I don't know. So she becomes the live-at-home nanny and she finds herself growing closer to the enigmatic recluse and soon has to choose between the safety of her life back in the States and the uncertainty of his closely guarded heart. Sounds a little bit ridiculous, but also sounds really fun. I also love the like study abroad theme or like living abroad theme, obviously because I did that myself, so we're here for it. Okay, you guys, that concludes the 23 books that I would like to read in 2023. Obviously there are a bunch more books that I want to read and I am going to read, but those are books that I would really like to focus and clear off of my TBR shelf and move them to the have read shelf. Thank you so much for sticking with me and listening to me talk about books. If you've read any of these books, I would love to know in the comments what you think of them. And thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and join the fam. We would love to have you join our little bookish world and talk more books. And give me more books to add to my TBR that's ever growing. That meme about literally dying before you ever finish all the books that you want to read is so true. So true. I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone. Are you ready for a long video? Maybe I am. Time to get cozy. Hello everyone. No. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to I can't talk today. I'll see you next time. I don't know what that was.